1, 2, 3.
I'm in Austin, Texas, to learn about body hacking. Over the course of a weekend, I'll meet people who have taken life and limbs into their own hands because they felt left behind by traditional medicine. And I'll also encounter some dangerous ideas among those seeking to capitalise on an unregulated, controversial industry. Being a body hacking enthusiast means enhancing yourself with technology or other visual elements. Some discovered this scene due to a disability, using that as a starting point to experiment.
To outsiders, this might seem very much like an event that's on the fringes of society. But the people that come here see themselves very much like pioneers, both artistically and scientifically.
BodyhackCon is into its third year. People come from all over the world to show off their work.
So they're subdermal implants. They're just under the skin over the muscle. So there's a little bit of tissue movement allowance, but there's no discomfort involved.
It's myoelectric, which means it's muscle powered. So when I flex my muscles and my residual limb, it allows me to move the hand. I kind of like the idea that I can also make my arm match my personality by adding lights and colors and matching it to my outfit and things like that.
As well as the social scene here, this event is used to share research with the body hacking community. Subject matter this year included the prospect of implanting a device to make a man's penis vibrate, as well as more complex ideas such as gene therapy. Amongst the amateurs, the US government. Justin Sanchez works for a department within the military that experiments with new technology. Its inventions include self-driving cars, GPS, and most famously, the internet. Now it's turning its attention to body hacking.
Part of coming to this meeting is sharing our knowledge on all of this, with a community that's very much on the leading edge of all of this. One of the things that we showed here at this meeting was that there was a person that had difficulty recalling a list of 12 words. And without the brain stimulation, they couldn't recall the 12 words. And with direct brain stimulation, they were able to recall those words in almost a seamless fashion. All 12 words in rapid successions. So that was really the breakthrough moment for us.
No kidding. All of them.
If something is on the verge of being impossible, we will start to explore that area.
Permanent, they don't fade, they're going to be purple forever. So it was definitely something I had to think about for quite some time.
I really became interested in performance art, body modification, when I discovered I was a bad painter in art school.
The hacks being done in this scene are pushing interpretations of the law into new areas. This man, who calls himself Meow, has had his travel card chip embedded into his hand. Authorities in Australia want to force him to remove it.
I think, to be honest, the reason they're taking me to court is not so much like out of malice, it's out of just like bureaucracy. It's easier for them to take me to court than it is to update the law.
As is typical with this type of technology, regulators and lawmakers don't really know how to handle some of the things we've heard discussed here. The question is, should human beings be allowed to do whatever they want with their own bodies? One person who firmly believes we should be allowed to experiment is Dana Lewis. She has type 1 diabetes and was so fed up with poor devices from pharmaceutical companies, she set about making what is essentially a replacement pancreas.
And what this is a small computer with a radio that reads data from my insulin pump and my glucose monitor, does the math for me, and actually sends command back to the insulin pump to automate my insulin delivery if any changes are needed. It's not that we don't want to buy a commercial product that's great. We would love to buy a commercial product that works for us. But these products that come to market, they're one size fits all. And we have the technology, off-the-shelf hardware to do this ourselves, so why not?
Dana has consulted with the US drugs regulator, the FDA. Her low-risk device isn't considered a treatment, and crucially, she's not allowed to sell it. The same basic stipulations would apply in the UK. But others here are apparently less worried about regulation and safety. This is Aaron Traywick. He runs a company that claims it can cure HIV, AIDS and herpes. Disturbingly, he told us he plans to bring his drugs to AIDS patients in Venezuela.
All we can do is we can say to these people, we know that you don't have access to these medications. We know that the people who are taking care of you also can't get access to these medications for you.
You know these people are desperate, you know these people are poor, and so you say, okay, these are the ideal people for us to try untested, unregulated, potentially unsafe drug.
All I can say is they don't have any other options.
Is that enough of a reason to give someone a drug that may not be safe?
There is no reason to believe that it isn't safe. Obviously,
there's no reason to believe that it is. This is my point here. People aren't guinea pigs. Just because they're ill, just because they're dying, doesn't make them guinea pigs for your very
experimental company. We're not talking about them
company.
as guinea pigs. You can't even test. There's not even reagents in that country to be able to test whether or not the treatment works. All we know is if it works, they don't die.
The FDA told the BBC companies like this are considered to be dangerous. A spokeswoman wouldn't say if Mr. Traywick's firm was being investigated.
So it's been a very interesting couple of days, and I think we've seen the good and bad of this industry. On the good, we've seen people taking control of their healthcare in a way that's cheaper and often more innovative than the traditional channels will allow. But on the other side, we've seen people, I think, with very questionable motives and not a lot of concern for the consequences of what they're doing.